You know Fever. You've heard it your whole life. Peggy Lee, Madonna, countless artists have covered it. But the man who wrote it, who sang it with a voice that invented soul music itself, died in prison at 30 years old, and America forgot his name. Little Willie John was born in Arkansas in 1937 to a gospel-singing family. By 18, he'd cut the original version of Fever. According to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame records, that single sold over 1 million copies and won a gold disc. According to Billboard chart history, he had 15 hits on the R&B chart with crossover success on pop charts. Need Your Love So Bad, Talk to Me, Leave My Kitten Alone. Every one of them became classics. But they became classics through other people's voices. Peggy Lee's version of Fever became the famous one. Fleetwood Mac covered Need Your Love So Bad. The Beatles covered Leave My Kitten Alone. Meanwhile, the man who wrote them, who sang them first, who created a sound so revolutionary that Stevie Wonder would later say his mother told him if he called himself Little Stevie Wonder, he'd better be as good as Little Willie John. That man was fading into obscurity. According to music historians and documented in the comprehensive biography Fever, Little Willie John, A Fast Life, Mysterious Death, and the Birth of Soul by Susan Whitall, his life was spiraling. Drinking, drugs. The music industry moved on to flashier stars. James Brown rose to prominence partly by opening shows for Little Willie John in the early 50s, then surpassed him. The same industry that celebrated his genius forgot he existed. In 1964, at an after-hours party in Seattle, an altercation broke out. According to court records documented in multiple historical accounts, Little Willie John was charged with manslaughter. The trial was brief. The verdict was swift. Guilty. He was sentenced to 8 to 20 years in prison. On July 6, 1966, Willie John walked into the Washington State Penitentiary at Walla Walla. He was 30 years old. James Brown and others tried rallying support for his release, but nobody had the power to reverse a conviction against a black man in 1966 America. 2 years later, on May 26, 1968, Little Willie John died in that prison. The official cause listed was a heart attack. But according to prison reports and accounts from those who visited him, he was found with pneumonia, weakened, confined to a wheelchair. According to accounts documented in Kim Field's research, there were persistent rumors he'd been beaten, that fluid in his lungs suggested injuries from violence. The mystery of his death has never been fully resolved. What's certain is that a genius died behind bars while the world played his songs under other people's names. When the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame finally inducted him in 1996, 28 years after his death, Stevie Wonder presented his award. Wonder didn't just acknowledge his influence. He honored him as the architect of soul music itself. But by then, Little Willie John was a ghost. Here's the tragedy nobody talks about. He shaped music history. His voice, his phrasing, his emotional depth. That's what taught artists how to sing soul. But he did it as a teenager. He did it poor. He did it black in an industry built to steal from black artists and credit white ones. And he paid for his pride with his freedom. James Brown recorded a tribute album. Musicians across genres have acknowledged his genius. But most people don't know his name. They know Peggy Lee's version of Fever. They don't know the voice that created it died in a penitentiary. So here's what I need to know. Why do we celebrate the covers but bury the originals? Why is Little Willie John a stranger to most people when he literally invented the sound that became soul music? And if you've never heard his actual version of Fever, listen to it today. Really listen. And ask yourself what other genius we've been conditioned to forget. Comment the song that shocked you. Like and share if you believe Little Willie John deserves to be remembered not as a footnote, but as a revolutionary. And follow because his story isn't unique, it's just the most tragic.